you some perfectly perplexing predicaments in this Popples read-along book. Whenever you hear this sound, it means it's time to turn the page in your storybook. I'm ready to read along. How about you? Okay, here we go with the Popples Camp-Out Caper. Remember to turn the page every time you hear the sound. It was the first warm night of summer, and as Party, PC, and the other Popples played ping-pong and ate popcorn in the attic playroom with Bonnie, Billy sat by the window gazing up at the stars. The sky was very clear, and the stars were ever so bright. Billy loved the outdoors, especially in the summertime. There must be a billion trillion stars in the sky tonight, Billy thought to himself. This would be a positively perfect night to sleep out in the tent Mom and Dad bought for Bonnie and me at Christmas. PC Popple, who also loved the great outdoors, popped out from behind a big bowl of popcorn and hopped onto the windowsill asking,
"See anything interesting out there tonight, Billy?"
"Nothing but a couple billion stars. And look, PC," said Billy, pointing. "There's the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper, too." As PC sat staring, Billy ran to the attic closet, opened the door, and pulled out a large green sack. He unfastened the string that held it tightly closed, tipped the sack upside down, and gave it a few shakes. Out tumbled a rolled-up tent and several wooden poles. Hearing the noise behind him, PC turned from the window and said,
"I think Billy wants to camp out. And on a night like tonight, I can't think of anything that will be better. Come on, Popples, gather up the gear and let's get going."
Pretty Bit looked out the window, nodded her pretty purple head, and said,
"The stars are twinkling, the moon is bright. For camping, it's a perfect night."
and she grabbed a lantern and headed for the door. But before Pretty Bit could get her pretty little self out the door, Billy, Bonnie, and 6 Popples had blocked her way. She tried bouncing over them, but it was no use. She tried going around them, but it was no use. She even tried going through their legs, but it was no use. The 6 bigger Popples and the 2 even bigger children were not about to let her through. Potato Chip and Putter came over to help Pretty Bit, and together the 3 littlest Popples tried again to get through the door. But for some reason, PC and the others would not let them by. Finally, Pretty Bit lost her patience.
"Tell us why we can't get through to go outdoors and camp with you."
The reason why is because you 3 are a bit too small to be camping out in the rugged outdoors,
explained PC with a very wise, fatherly tone.
After all, it can get pretty scary out there in the dark. You'd better just stay up here in the attic where you won't get frightened.
Potato Chip looked sadly at PC, for she loved to have a good time, especially at a camp-out where there would certainly be munchies.
Besides,
PC continued,
there's a lot more to camping out than just sleeping outside in the dark, you know.
Yes,
added Prize.
there are always scary noises outdoors at night, and we always tell ghost stories. The eeriest, spookiest stories we know. You 3 would jump right out of your pouches.
Laughing at Prize's words, Bonnie, Billy, and the 6 biggest Popples closed the attic door and headed down the stairs to begin their camp-out adventure. Meanwhile, Potato Chip, Putter, and Pretty Bit gathered around the bowl of popcorn to figure out what they could do next.
"It's certainly not fair of them to leave us out,"
complained Potato Chip.
"We're not afraid of camping out,"
added Putter.
"I don't know why they jumped the gun. All we want is to join the fun,"
moaned Pretty Bit. Putter in the yard, he could see Billy, Bonnie, and the other Popples pitching the tent and laughing up a storm.
They're certainly having a good time without us,
He thought. Bonnie rolled out the sleeping bags and put them inside the tent, while Billy set a lantern on the grass. Then everyone gathered in a circle to listen to one of Prize's ghost stories. After the story ended, there was a cheery whistling noise, and colored streamers flew out of Party's pouch and danced in the summer breezes. Party blew a toot-toot-toot on her party horn and shouted,
It's party time!
and everyone let out a loud cheer. Everyone, that is, except Potato Chip, Putter, and Pretty Bit. They wanted to be in on the fun, too. And no game and no toy in the attic playroom could be half as good as the great fun the others were having outdoors. Potato Chip went over and sat by Putter, who was tinkering with some sort of strange invention.
What on earth are you doing, Putter?
She asked. Putter continued tinkering for several minutes. Finally, he looked up and said,
Why, this could be perhaps the finest and most practical invention my ingenious self has come up with. Stand back. There's gonna be a rain shower.
But before the three could get out of the way, sprays of water came pouring out of the little machine.
I've done it again. I'm a genius,
Putter exclaimed.
and that gives me a great idea. Gather around, my friends, and I'll tell you. Then we'll just see who scares easier, little Popples or big Popples.
And Putter explained his idea to Potato Chip and Pretty Bit.
Got it, Putter.
Cried Potato Chip.
We make a rainstorm. You make the rain, and I'll use my talent for sound to make the thunder and the wind.
Tucking the rain machine in his little green pouch, Putter led the way out of the attic with Potato Chip and Pretty Bit tiptoeing close behind. Down the stairs and out the back door they went. By this time, everyone had gone into the tent and the lights were out. But the whispers and giggles coming from the tent told Putter that everyone was still awake and having a great time. As the littlest Popples got closer to the tent, they heard Prize telling a ghost story.
Hey, big ghost hid behind the door and waited for the little rabbit to come hopping through the woods.
Then they heard shrieks and screams from the others. Potato Chip, listening to the story herself, accidentally let out a scream.
Shh.
Putter whispered.
Do you want them to hear us, Potato Chip? Hurry, you two, and give me a hand getting up the tree.
Putter climbed out onto a branch hanging above the tent and pulled the rain machine from his pouch. He tied it to the branch, then signaled to Potato Chip and Pretty Bit that he was ready. Putter turned on the machine, and raindrops immediately began pouring down on the tent. Potato Chip then let out a series of thundering boom, boom, booms. Pretty Bit pulled a flash attachment for a camera from her pouch and clicked it on and off several times. It looked just like lightning. Putter's plan worked, for Billy's frightened voice echoed from inside the tent.
Good heavens, that sounds like a pretty bad storm. Maybe we'd better go back in the house.
Then Billy poked his head through the front tent flap and looked up into the sky. He saw nothing but stars and a bright moon. There wasn't a cloud to be seen, yet big raindrops were coming down all around him. ducking into the tent and shaking his wet head, Billy was puzzled.
I don't get it. There's not a cloud in the sky, but it's pouring down rain.
PC clicked his fingers, and the tent flap opened.
I'll go out and have a look,
He said to the others.
Nothing gets by the king of cool.
But before PC could get out of the tent, Putter had tucked the rain machine back into his pouch, scampered down the tree, and joined the other two Popples hidden in a nearby bush. PC came out of the tent and looked around. Seeing nothing, he thought to himself,
Perhaps it was just a passing shower.
and he went back into the tent to inform the others. Children's laughter and Popples' giggles once again filled the tent. The lantern was brightly shining inside, and through the tent's canvas, Putter, Potato Chip, and Pretty Bit could see the shadowy outlines of Pancake and Puffball flipping around on the pillows. "Pillow fight!" someone screamed, and suddenly feathers were flying everywhere.
Look out! Duck, PC!
Yelled another voice.
Ready or not, here I come.
Cheered a third voice as the giggles continued. From behind the nearby bush, Potato Chip was getting the other two littlest Popples ready for her new plan. After all, Putter's plan hadn't frightened the others very much, and seeing the shadowy outlines of Pancake and Puffball had given Potato Chip an idea. Potato Chip sneaked around to the back of the tent with Putter. Both crept very quietly, for the slightest noise would tip off the others that something fishy was going on. Once behind the tent, Potato Chip climbed up on Putter's back, fluffed up her fur, and let out a ferocious bear growl. Next, she howled like a wolf and hooted like an owl. Then she let out a bear growl again. Just as she did, Pretty Bit pulled a huge flashlight from her pouch and shined it from behind Potato Chip and Putter. Their shadow cast the shape of a giant bear on the inside of the tent. Potato Chip made real bear sounds. She held up her hands to look like claws, and the shadow looked like a bear was going to rip right through the tent. Potato Chip continued. Bonnie and Billy had just about fallen asleep when they heard the bear noises. On the other side of the tent, 6 Popples cuddled into their pouches, dreaming away. Billy crawled out of his sleeping bag and nudged Bonnie. "Wake up, Bonnie! Wake up! There's something out there, and I don't think it's friendly!" Bonnie sat up, rubbed her sleepy eyes, and looked around the tent. By this time, Pretty Bit had turned off the light, and there was no more bear shadow. So Bonnie muttered,
I don't see anything, Billy. Now go back to sleep.
Just then, Pretty Bit turned on the light, and the giant bear appeared again. Growled Potato Chip loudly. "Yowie!" Bonnie cried. Prize Party and Pancake rolled out of their pouches and saw the bear shadow. They screamed.
It's a bear!
Party popped back into her pouch. Prize dove into Bonnie's sleeping bag, and Pancake flipped under the pile of pillows. The commotion woke PC and Puffball. Puffball wasn't the least bit happy about all the dust and feathers flying around the tent.
What's all this about?
She asked.
All this dirt flying around in here is ruining my snowy white fur.
But before she could finish her sentence, Puffball looked on the wall of the tent and saw the shadow of the giant bear. She quickly hid behind PC, crying out,
PC, do something! That bear is coming this way!
PC looked around the tent and tried to figure figure out who or what was making the bear noises, let alone the gigantic bear.
There has to be a logical reason.
He decided as 7 sets of eyes peeked out at him from under the sleeping bags.
Whoever it is, they're certainly doing a good job of scaring these happy campers.
PC clicked his fingers, and the front flap opened again. He put his finger to his lips, signaling the others to be quiet. PC listened carefully to the sounds outside the tent.
Uh-huh. Just as I suspected,
he said, and from the corner of his eye, he caught sight of 2 fluffy fuzzballs named Potato Chip and Putter standing one on top of the other at the back of the tent and snickering out loud. PC went back into the tent and smiled.
Okay, everyone, now just be quiet.
Then he pointed to the back of the tent and whispered,
Putter, Potato Chip, and Pretty Bit are behind all this. Just follow me outside.
Then, to play along with the joke, PC said out loud,
Well, I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm too scared to stay out here tonight. We'd better go back inside with the 3 little ones.
PC left the tent, followed by Bonnie and Billy and the other 5 Popples. They sneaked around to the back, and when they were all together behind Potato Chip and Putter, they yelled at the top of their voices, Boo! Pretty Bit, Potato Chip, and Putter jumped off the ground, popped into their pouches, and like frightened rabbits, hopped back toward the house.
Hold on there, you little rain-making bears.
Called PC, giggling.
Come on back here and join us.
The 3 Popples popped back over to the tent where everyone was laughing about their silly prank. PC put his arm around them and said,
You little guys sure proved who the real fraidy cats are. We were wrong to make you stay in the house. In fact, we all missed you. Especially you, Potato Chip. We didn't have any munchies all night. From now on, I say, the more the merrier.
With that, all the Popples, Billy and Bonnie, got back inside the tent, and with the help of some marvelous munchies supplied by Potato Chip, had the best night out ever.